Hello, this is my video on basically all things Brunton, at least that I know. There are some things that I do not know well enough to make a video about, and so we'll direct you at the end of the video towards resources to better help you. However, if you are here to learn how to repair the glass in your Brunton, the needle in your Brunton, how to do strike and dip, why the east and west symbol on the inside of the Brunton are swapped, what declination is, you've come to the right place, and that's what this video is for. So, a Brunton compass. We will start with the repair. So, if you're repairing the glass section, you would just take the glass out, which I will show you how to do in just a second, and then put it back in, which is just the reverse of taking it out, pretty much. Same with the mirror. I'm not going to take the mirror out in this video because, because I have seen people break it before. The only time I've seen someone replace a mirror in a Brunton, it was already cracked, but they cracked it more. I'm not confident because it's a much tighter jump ring that holds the mirror in to up here, and I don't have a replacement mirror, so if I do break it, I have no way to fix that. So, to take your jump ring out, which is this little metal ring that you can see around the inside with a break right there, you're going to want masking tape. Now, it doesn't always work, but it generally will. So when you pry this out, you have to use something thin like a knife blade, and it'll chip the glass occasionally. Well, most of the time it'll chip the glass unless you can get a piece of masking tape up under the jump ring. And it won't always prevent you from chipping the glass, but it will make it will damage it less, and it will sometimes prevent you from chipping it altogether. It just takes me a minute to get it in there, which is why this is taking so long. All right. That is not far enough in there for me to be comfortable with. Right. Yeah, Bruntons are fairly expensive. I did not buy this one new. This is, according to the seller, from World War II. And that would make sense, or a little more sense, considering it is a quadrant compass, not an azimuth compass. Quadrants were used by the military for artillery. Now, this is how you get it out. You stick it in there and pop that jump ring out. So that's the jump ring. And let's see, did I chip the glass? Oh, I believe I did. Very, very small chip in there. Now this is again an old Brunton and it has been repaired before. There's a very large chip right there. Obviously, still works. You don't have to worry too much. It's just chipped glass. As long as you get whatever chip came out of your Brunton, you don't want it in there gumming up the works of your compass. So put that out right there. So it should be somewhere in there. Hold on. Right. So that's the glass out. And if you were just fixing the glass, you'd put it back in and you'd put the jump ring in, which I'll show in a second. Now, for the needle, if your needle is sticking, and that's what you're trying to fix, and I will preface this real quick by saying both my knife and there is magnetic, and there's up here where you cannot see, there's an electric motor for a fan. My stovetop is right there. So my needle is acting a little bit weird considering there's a bunch of magnets around it. There's also wiring under this table. Anyway, that's why it's weird. But if your needle was sticking, what you would do is you would take it out off that pin in there. So hold on, I will show you this pin. So that pin right there. And you would lubricate with pencil graphite. So just some pencil graphite. You can shave it off with a knife, take a sewing pin, stick it down in there and wiggle it around, and then dump all the excess out. And then just get some graphite down in there. Like you can even do that if you want. Just to lubricate it. It's a dry lubricant. You don't want to use oil because it'll gum it up later. Oil eventually kind of solidifies, gets crusty, picks up all the dust and stuff as well. Now, my needle was sticking when I first got this, and I did that, and it kept sticking, right? I lubricated the inside of this needle, and it kept sticking. And that was a problem because, well, I needed not to do that if I want to take measurements. So I took the rest of it apart. This piece right here, this little spacer, comes off. You can lubricate both ends of that, which I did just because I didn't know where it was sticking. Also, this lever down here, right here, I lubricated the top of that where it is in contact with this. Again, I don't know exactly which part was catching on which. I think it was the inside of this catching on the pin, so I also lubricated the pin. It hasn't stuck, but I just lubricated everything basically in there. Drop that back on, and that lever comes out. You literally just pull it up off that pin and out, and it comes out. There's a little, you cannot see it, and it'll fall out if I tip my compass, but there's a little hole down in there where it sticks back in under this pin right here, which pushes the lever down, pushes that out. That's all that does. That's just to hold your needle to the glass so you can stop it from spinning if you need to take a measurement. But that was sticking, so I lubricated all of that, and it stopped, and I put it back on, and it worked, right? So my compass has worked since then. Now, another thing that can cause your needle to stick is that little copper coil right there. So if your needle is in your compass and it's level, you're good, it won't stick. Now, if it turns like this or like this, it will, and that's where that comes in. That little copper coil is so that you can move it along this needle right here, and you can balance it. If it's like this, you move it out, it'll do that. If it's like this, you move it in, it'll do that, and you're good. Once you get it balanced, you're fine. And they put that on there so that if you take a compass from the northern to the southern hemisphere, because the magnetic field is stronger, or will act differently, I guess, on your needle, you can change it. And that's why that's on there. They come on there, and they're just a small counterweight. The needles are fairly light. Now, again, this is an older Brunton, so I don't know 100% about newer Bruntons. But yeah, so that's how you fix that. You can take this bullseye level here out. I won't in this video because I don't have a glue to put it back in. I only have super glue, and I'm not putting that in my Brunton because I would never be able to take that bullseye level if it did break out again. I also don't have a spare, nor do I have a way to make sure that it is level. And I have never seen anyone take that out. I'm not sure how it's attached to the rest of the thing that holds these together. So I don't even know if you can, I don't think you can replace it. If you break that, I assume you would have to call the company. So yeah, that's it for repairs on needles and glass. So to put this back in, you just drop it in like that, take your jump ring, close it. You can put this anywhere, the brake anywhere. I just like to put it over here towards the southern end of my compass. But yeah, sometimes it takes a few tries. I've gotten it in 1 try before, and I've gotten it in like 6 tries before. So there we go. That little click means it's in. So that's so that's your compass repaired, right? That's everything in there fixed. One other thing that you can have a problem on is this table here. As you can see, mine's fairly worn down. So that's a sign table. It just has all the natural signs from 1 to 45. Fairly useful table. I haven't repaired mine yet simply because I don't have a top coat that I want to put on it yet. I want to take something like basically anything that's dark and that won't degrade very much over a long period of time. Put that on there, wipe away the excess on the top so you can see the black in the troughs, shiny steel metal up on top, put a lacquer over it, and hold it in. I just don't have a lacquer or a pigment that I want to use yet. So, rest of the things you can do with a Brunton. The first that I will go over is strike and dip. And I will note that in here, you're supposed to hold it like this. I had someone call that the bear poker because you poke a bear with it. Don't poke bears. I think that's like a colloquial saying. Don't poke that bear. Or whatever that thing from Hip Hop Kids and Bear Kid was. So hold on. Sorry, there's a stand, the phone stand in my way. So for strike and dip, and again, just keep in mind that the east and wester are swapped. You take this, you take it, you get the bullseye. I'll spin that like that, so you get that. You can see, you get the bullseye level. Take your measurement. So that looks like it's what? North 47? Yeah, north 47 west, even though it's going to the east. So north 47 west, even though that says east, it lies to you. It drives me up the wall. Or south, whatever, east. And that will give you your strike measurement, which is how a rock is oriented on a compass rose on a map. So what is that? I said 47 west, which is also, if you look over here, will also be 47 east, which is just either 360 minus 47 or 180 minus 47, depending on how you want to do it, for your calculations to change it to azimuth, to convert from quadrant to azimuth. So that's, what is that, 47 minus 180 is just 133. So 133 would be your measurement, or you could just add 180 to 133 and get your measurement over there. Now, dip is at what angle the rock is. So flat is, I bumped the stand, I'm sorry. Flat is 0, and as you go up, you get more and more of a dip until you get to the highest possible dip, which is straight up and down, which is 90. So if you were going to take dip and you were going to do it in the field, you would have kept that on there until you could have scribed a line, but I'm holding this with my hand. So you could have scribed your strike line onto the rock, take it so that these numbers are facing towards the rock or as down as possible, because it's this inclinometer that's moving, and it is just easier to use when it's like that. So you would get it, you'd put it at 90 degrees to your line, you'd move it until you got it level, till you got the bubble in that level, in that one level, and you would read off from this inner semicircle of numbers what your number is. So that's what, 31, 32? 32. So you have a dip of 32. And then this ring of numbers out here, that's grade. So that's how you take strike and dip. Now, that's for geology, or at least as far as I know, that's only for geology. That's what I do with it. I'm a geologist, so just, yeah. There are other things you can do with it. You can shoot distance with them, and that is just like, hold on, I did not think very well of how to say this. If you have a building, right, 20 feet away from you, or, well, no, it won't be 20 feet away. If you have a building, if you're on a mountain and you see a building in the distance, you want to know how far away that building is, you can take this and you can sight through it. You can take it, you sight through it, you get these two lined up on your building. You go, all right, cool, here's my heading. You can take that measurement again. There's some trigonometry that you do with the tangent to get that. I don't know the exact steps. I just know that it involves the tangent. If you want a much better video on how to shoot distance with a Brunton, go to Dave Canterbury. He does bushcraft, and I think mostly just bushcraft. But he has a good video on how to shoot distance with a Brunton. He has a good video on how to make a map with a Brunton. I think he has how to navigate just in general with a map. So that's a pretty good resource for that if you plan to do that. Again, I just do geology. So I've just measured rocks with this. That's all I've done. Now, a good resource for just some other basic things you can do with it is a manual that Brunton themselves posted. So I printed this out for myself just when I got this, and it's just some basic stuff. I mean, important information, operation, magnetic declination, azimuth measurement. Mine's not an azimuth. So it just has all the parts, what they are, how to operate it, how to use the different parts. It has magnetic declination, shows the declination, which I haven't gone over yet, and I will in a moment. And I will use this actually. So as you can see, it has this graph here, or this map here, and that shows the declination. So if you were right well, here, I'll bring this up here so it's easier to see, actually. Right, so you can see all those numbers. Those lines correspond to the numbers. So if you were on the line that says 10, you'd set, that's this dark line here, you'd set your magnetic declination to 10. And that is a westward declination, which is, which my compass is, I believe, actually set to an eastward declination, which now that I think about it may be wrong, as I believe I'm in a westward area. Nope. Yep, mine's set to east. Lovely. You see how hold on. You see that metal point in there? That shows you where 0 generally should be. It's where it will come. Like the compass will come with 0 right there. When you move away from that point, so that point marks north, you're moving your scale bar, and mine should be at this side, over this 7 over here. It's at this 7 over here, which is an eastward declination, and I have a declination of -7. I am along this middle area right here from Florida to the Great Lakes. So I'm just going to go ahead and reset that or change that. So to change that, you use this screw here on the side. That's that screw. And you just take this in, and you can see the ring moving in there, and it's moving along that pin. So that's 0, and I need to get it to 7. So I'm gonna change it to where I can see it, and you can't because I have to hold it very close to my face. There we go. So now that is the correct declination that I have on my compass, which is a westward declination of 7, which you can see down here. Westward declination of 15 degrees is what they have on there. And declination is simply important because true north, which is on this little picture here marked with a star, if you're hiking and you don't set your declination, if you want to hike geographic north, you set your declination and you can hike to follow geographic north. If you don't, you'll follow magnetic north. And if you're following magnetic north and you have a 15 degrees declination, you will hike, say, 20 miles, and you'll be a couple miles off from where you meant to be. And, well, you'll just add more time to your hiking, so it can get you lost. It's just generally good to set it. And that is everything for a Brunton. How to do strike and dip, what declination is, how to fix it, and yeah, that's everything I have. So I hope this video helped you. Sorry for having not scripted it. It's my only really YouTube video that I made, and I'm not huge into scripts or really making videos, so this is probably the first and last video on this channel, or account, I guess. But yeah, that's just how you fix a Brunton. That's everything that I know anyway. And if you have a problem, like if this comes off and you need a new one, if these come out or break or something, the hinges break, or if like this thing down here that these are on, that this moves, breaks, or the scale in there somehow breaks, call Brunton, call the company. While they are expensive, they do very obviously make things that last. So this is from, according to the seller, it was his grandfather's in World War II, which kind of makes sense. It's for artillery, for getting heights and stuff, and you can also use it for navigation still. But it's aluminum and brass. It has lasted a long time. So they last, they're good. I got this, again, used for fairly cheap, and the new Bruntons that you can buy, the Brunton Pocket Transits, which are the ones used for geology, they're 400 something, I want to say 27 or 57 last time I checked. So they're really expensive, but they last, and the company will service them still. They won't service anything, I want to say pre-1980 or pre-1990, I forget which. So I couldn't call them and be like, hey, I need a part for this, or hey, I need you to work on this. They don't service this model anymore. But a new Brunton, they will. And that's just the cheap version of the Pocket Transit. There are some new ones that they've come out with that are roughly $800. At that point, they're really, the new ones that are $800 are really big, and they're still obviously selling the Pocket Transit, but the new ones are basically just desk decoration. I personally would not carry that in the field. It seems heavy. All right. I hope this was informative. I hope you all enjoyed it. Sorry for being a bit rambly. And yeah, have a good day. Have fun with your compass.